Hello, Rob Edwards here. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Talking About Rock. Each week we bring you new rock interviews from around the globe and catch all our shows wherever you get your podcasts with new episodes every weekend. And you can follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss an episode. And check out our website, talkingaboutrock.com. On today's episode from Nashville, Tennessee, we have Abby Kay, rock bassist, vocalist, and songwriter. She gained sight of the public eye in 2018 when she began her professional career, and shortly after started touring with Nita Strauss, Dorothy, and the Iron Maidens. Next, we chat with Abby Kay on Talking About Rock. Okay, let's welcome to the show Abby Kay. Abby, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Going very well, very well. Excellent. So what's happening there? Are you currently in Nashville, or what's going on with you right now?
Yes, currently in Nashville. We just got off of a 4 or 5 week tour. We're finishing up our album now. We're kind of home in Nashville for the summer, so just working on getting a lot of stuff out, and then we'll hit the road later this year again.
Yeah, you always seem to be very busy, and you actually began playing music at 12 after attending a Kiss concert with your dad, right? And I think you originally started on guitar though, right?
Yes. Yep. So I went to see Kiss. That was my first concert. I had never really expressed any interest in music, but I was like to my dad, I said, "Are you ever gonna take me to a concert? Like, I'm 12 years old now. Can I go?"
Right.
Expect he would take me to see like Justin Bieber, and he took me to see Kiss, and I just like fell in love with rock music. Again, I picked up the guitar because it's all that we had at the house, but quickly figured out that I was a bassist naturally. Um, and yeah, it just kind of all progressed from there.
Yeah, they definitely know how to put on the show, and they definitely set the standard for that. When you see one of those shows, and you see another show after you're almost like there's stuff missing sometimes, right? You feel,
Yes.
you know.
No,
And you
I think it's a blessing and a curse that Kiss was my first concert because it was so like overwhelming that it made me want to get into this. But it's a curse because I was 12 and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is what a concert is." And
Yep,
then I
exactly.
think the next week after that, I went to see Fall Out Boy. I love their music. I love their show, but I was like, "Oh, where's the
Where's
pie?"
where's all the cool stuff, right? I know
Yeah.
so many people, including myself, first concert was Kiss and influenced by them in so many ways, as they were influenced by other people, such as Alice Cooper and things like that.
Mhm.
But you cited Gene Simmons as one of your biggest influences, but you kind of shifted a little bit recently, I think, to Steve Harris of Iron Maiden, Lemmy of
Yes.
Motorhead, and Geddy Lee of Rush. You kind of got a mixture. How they influenced your sound and style, would you say?
I would say, okay, I obviously started with Gene Simmons. He kind of started with um how I picked up the bass. And then, like you said, I've definitely switched over to more technical bass playing styles.
Right, a la Steve
Obviously,
Harris and Geddy Lee, for sure.
right. I mean, obviously, Gene Simmons knows what he's doing business wise. He's a freaking millionaire. He's
Yeah,
putting on
he
amazing
is the
shows.
master of business, for sure.
But he himself will say he's not the greatest musician. Um, And so I'm grateful for him because he got me into music. And then I kind of have leaned over towards more Geddy Lee and Steve Harris and gotten more into the technical side of growing my bass skills. And so I would say as a bassist, that's kind of where I draw from. But as just an artist in general, I get a lot of the female fronted hard rock uh vibes like Hailstorm, Dorothy, more of the modern side now.
Right, and you've done some shows with Nita Strauss, guitars for Alice Cooper and Demi
Yeah.
Lovato. Tell us about some of those shows.
Those were some of the best shows of my life. Nita is a very good friend of mine, and oh my gosh, it was literally the best, what was it, 3, 4 weeks of my life. It was, I mean, we had just moved to Nashville, and then we got this opportunity, and we went from playing headline shows to maybe 10 people to playing direct support to 400, 500 people. And it's like everyone was so invested in our set. Like before, we would play at a bar and people would be eating and they're like, okay, there's background music on. But we have one song, Because of You, that has audience participation in it. You sing the woes back and forth. And this was the first time that we were like, we looked at each other like, oh my gosh, they're singing it back to us. This never happens. So
Right.
it was a really good experience. I think that's kind of the route we want to go, more opening for bigger bands because we get in front of a lot more people.
Exactly. Get a lot more exposure. And, Nita Strauss, excellent musician in her own right for what she's done. I'm so glad she's back with Alice and doing stuff like that. I know
Yeah.
she's got her solo songs. She just released one with Alice Cooper not too long ago, which was outstanding. So I'm sure we're going to see a lot more come from her. The hard rock community wasn't really sure when she shifted modes there and went with Demi Lovato for a little while, but we are glad and more than happy to have her back with Alice for sure.
Yeah.
So, and you also you stated your songwriting process is always a little different, you said, from some of the stuff I've read. Can you explain that? Is it always like a different vibe or it's a different influence that just hits you?
So I think I've always blamed it on because I'm so young, but now I've been doing this for like a solid 5 years. So I don't really know that it's because I'm young anymore. I think I just like switching it up. I used to say it's because I haven't figured out what works best for me. So I never write a song the same way twice. Whether it's I'm going to write lyrics first, or I'm going to write the bass part first, or I'm going to write this song on piano. Like I've never had the same method twice. And I think honestly, it's not even just my age now that I'm just trying to figure out what works. I think it's more fun and interesting that way, that you don't get stuck in something. And I think a lot of my songs have different vibes and sound, obviously they're still all me, but sound different from each other because I mix up the process a lot.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to do it for sure. Not to get stuck in a certain type of rut and then you have a certain type of song. You can mix it up, and that way people can, like you said, they have different sounds and stuff. That's
Yeah,
definitely the
absolutely.
way to go for
And
sure.
now I've also been getting into co-writing since I moved here to Nashville. So I'm writing with probably 12 different people at a time right now. And so everyone has their own process that they've been stuck in themselves. And so once you get into a group of a couple people and it's like, well, what do we do now? Because you want to do it this way, you want to do it this way. So I've just found it really good for myself to not have like the expectation of this is how I do it. And it's more, I think it's easier for me to just go with the flow and figure out what works best for the song.
Okay. You were number one on the power rotation on 97 Underground in Baltimore with your first single, It Should Have Been Me. And then number two with Dirty Love. Tell us about that. That'd be very exciting.
It was very exciting. I was still 15, 16 when all of this went down, and I was still going to high school every day. I would go to school every morning and then go to the studio every night, drive 45 minutes into Charlotte. And sometimes I would get in my head that, well, I'm missing out on, the high school experiences and the football games and all
Right.
the parties and making friends. But then I would get results like this. For example, my first song, It Should Have Been Me, also went number one on a radio station in Germany. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm 15 years old
Outstanding.
and I'm doing this. And I felt like I was actually making a difference in my career and making some progress. So I didn't let that bother me too much. I kind of just rode the wave and just wanted to see where it goes.
Excellent. Yeah. And you also, like you were talking about earlier, you spend time on Broadway in Nashville, playing 4 to 5 nights a week, writing songs with other artists and folks outside of the music community as well.
Yes.
So tell us about your latest single, Better Off. You recorded that with Troy Licata from Tesla, which is an outstanding musician in his own right. I just caught Tesla, but he's not on the road with them currently, but I just caught Tesla recently, and I just love their stuff. Tell us about how that kind of came about, that collaboration.
So back when I was signed, I'm independent now and I love being independent. Um, but back when I was signed, the studio that I was signed with, Tesla booked to rehearse there before they went off to record their 40th anniversary at Abbey Road.
Yep.
They were rehearsing for their Abbey Road performance. So I got to hang out with Tesla all day. I FaceTimed Frank Hannon's daughter. That's one of my favorite stories to tell. And I just kind of, became friends with all of them. And we were trying to decide, do we want to move to Nashville? Do we want to make the move to Los Angeles? And so a couple years after we met Tesla, we decided, let's reach out to Troy, see if we can maybe come to Nashville for a week or two and just see what we can get going. And that's exactly what we did. It went very well. He ended up producing and playing drums on 3 singles for us, including Better Off. And I mean, we moved to Nashville, so I would say it all worked out pretty good.
Yeah, I think you made the right choice. So we're going to take a quick break here and we'll play the video for Better Off, and we'll be right back here with Abby K on Talking About Rock. Okay, we're back here on Talk About Rock with Abby K. So aside from a bass player, songwriter, you also have launched a Girls Rock Nashville clothing brand. Tell us about that a little bit.
Yes. So something that I learned I'm a very business-focused person, and I like to have a lot of revenue streams, my hand in as many pots as possible. I don't know why, because it's so overwhelming and I'm working 23-hour days basically, but I love it. And so a couple months ago, I decided that, you go to all of these big companies that have rock and roll stage clothes, and they have a million options for men, and then they have a pair of pants for girls and they have a stage shirt for girls.
Really? It's really that's usually strikes me usually the other way, but
yeah, it's like all of these like the rock and roll companies that are like selling these stage clothes, you can't find any stage clothes for rock and roll women. So that's eventually what I want to branch into. I want to do like personalized and like customized rock and roll stage clothes for women. But for now, we've just launched a couple merch designs for t-shirts. We have the I'm on vocal rest designs. We have the professional badass designs. And we're working on more currently. And we just want to kind of grow the brand a little bit and then branch into what a lot of rock and roll clothing brands lack for women and get into like actual apparel.
excellent, excellent. Well, I think you got the right attitude and the right idea and the right focus. Yeah, keep a couple irons burning in the pot, like you said. It's definitely the way to go for sure.
Yeah.
Getting tour dates coming up or any shows coming up in the next while?
We are actually home in Nashville until September, and those dates will be coming out probably in like 2 or 3 weeks.
All right, and then you're going to be doing a full album for this, or you're just going to release some singles?
Yes, we're gonna be doing a full album. I'm actually later tonight. I'm recording bass for the album. We're almost done with it. It should be out by the end of the summer.
Excellent, excellent. If folks want to know more about you, where should they check you out on social media, your website, or?
Abby K Rocks, abbykrocks.com. I'm on all social media platforms, Spotify under Abby K. Anywhere you can listen to music, you can listen to mine.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Really appreciate it, folks out there. Check out Abby K Rocks. We thank you all for tuning in to Talking About Rock, and check us out on our new episode. This episode will be streaming on all the audio platforms very soon as well. Abby, again, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.